The unexpected arrival. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, the Galactic Empire had long been the supreme ruler, dominating countless star systems with an iron grip. Their fleets were the epitome of power and technological advancement, their authority unchallenged. But today, on the bridge of the Imperial flagship, Admiral Zixa faced an unprecedented anomaly. Holographic displays showed an unknown fleet at the edge of Imperial territory, its red dots pulsating ominously. "What do you mean you can't identify them?" Zixa's voice was a hiss, filled with frustration. Her subordinate, a trembling Corin, struggled to maintain composure. "Apologies, Admiral," the Corin stuttered. "The ships don't match any known designs in our database. They appear primitive." Zixa's mandibles clicked in irritation. The vessels displayed on the hologram looked like relics from a bygone era. Patchwork constructions of various materials, more suited to a museum than the battlefield. The Corin continued, "Their weapon systems are rudimentary at best. Their shielding is almost non-existent." A low rumbling laugh escaped Zixa. "And this is what has our border patrols in a frenzy. Pathetic," she waved a claw dismissively. "Identify their origin and crush them. I want to know who dares challenge the Empire with such inadequacy." As the orders were relayed, a young officer approached nervously. "Admiral, we've identified the species. They're humans." The word hung in the air like a curse. Zixa's exoskeleton bristled at the memory of the last encounter with Earth dwellers, a minor skirmish decades ago. The humans had been hopelessly outmatched, but had fought with a ferocity that had taken her by surprise. Shaking off the memory, she refocused. "Deploy the 7th Fleet. Let's remind these humans of their place in the galaxy." Unbeknownst to Zixa, this encounter was part of a carefully laid trap. Aboard the lead ship of the human fleet, Captain Sarah Chen watched the Imperial vessels approach with a smile of satisfaction. Years of meticulous planning and the creation of a deceptive facade were about to pay off. The deceptive facade. As Admiral Zixa's forces closed in, Captain Sarah Chen's fleet maintained its formation. The humans had set the stage for a grand reveal. Sarah's XO Kono reported with a grin, "They've taken the bait. Sensors show they've only deployed a fraction of their forces." Sarah nodded, eyes fixed on the tactical display. Overconfidence, the Empire's greatest weakness, she tapped her comm link. "All ships, maintain formation. Remember your training. Today, we fight not just for Earth, but for every species that suffered under Imperial rule." The crew's morale was high. This fleet, the culmination of countless hours of work by scientists, engineers, and soldiers, was ready. Sarah's order rang out, "Weapons hot. Let them fire first. We need to maintain the illusion until the last possible moment." On the bridge, tension mounted as the Imperial warships loomed larger on their screens. A blinding flash erupted as the lead Imperial ship opened fire, its energy weapons lancing toward the human fleet. The moment of truth had arrived. Sarah's facade of weakness fell away in an instant. The patchwork hulls of the human ships shimmered and dissolved, revealing sleek, advanced vessels. Shields snapped into place, effortlessly absorbing the Imperial barrage. Sarah commanded, "Show them what humanity is truly capable of." The human fleet erupted in a dazzling display of firepower. Beams of concentrated energy, missiles phasing in and out of reality, and swarms of autonomous drone fighters poured forth. The Imperial ships, caught completely off guard, were overwhelmed. Explosions blossomed in the void of space. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. The real battle was just beginning. The Empire's shock. Admiral Zixa stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The human fleet, once perceived as nothing more than a collection of space junk, had transformed before their eyes. Her mandibles clicked rapidly, struggling to process the information. "Impossible," she hissed. "How did they? What are we dealing with?" The bridge of the Imperial flagship was in chaos. Officers scrambled to make sense of the readings, struggling to understand how they had been so thoroughly deceived. The Seventh Fleet, the pride of the Empire, was being decimated by weapons and technology that defied logic. "Admiral," a panicked voice cut through the chaos, "we've lost contact with the dreadnought Sixer. It's gone." Zixa felt a cold dread settle in her thorax. The Sixer was one of the most advanced warships in the Imperial Navy, capable of devastating entire star systems. Now it had been swatted aside like an insect. "All ships, full retreat," she'd barked. "We need to regroup and reassess. Send word to High Command. The human threat is far greater than we anticipated." As the Imperial ships turned and fled, leaving their wounded and dying behind, Zix's mind raced. How had the humans advanced so quickly? Where had they acquired such technology? And most importantly, what were their true intentions, the real plan? Back on the human flagship, Captain Sarah Chen allowed herself a moment to breathe. The first phase of their operation had been a resounding success, but she knew better than to celebrate prematurely. "Status report," she called out, her voice steady despite the adrenaline. Her XO, M. Kono, responded promptly. "Minimal damage across the fleet, Captain. Our dissection tech worked perfectly. The Empire never knew what hit them." Sarah nodded, a grim smile on her lips. "And the package?" Kono's eyes gleamed. "Delivered successfully. Our infiltrator is already working its way through their systems. We should have full access to the Imperial network within hours." This was the true objective of their attack. While the Empire reeled from the shock of facing an advanced human fleet, a sophisticated digital infiltrator was burrowing into the heart of their vast information network. Knowledge, after all, was the ultimate weapon. "Excellent," Sarah said. "Prepare for Phase 2. We need to push our advantage before they have time to regroup." As the human fleet regrouped and prepared for their next move, Sarah retreated to her ready room. Awaiting her was a holographic projection of Dr. Evelyn Brahms, the scientist whose breakthroughs had catapulted humanity from a primitive species to a force capable of challenging the Galactic Empire. The strategy unfolds. Dr. Evelyn Brahms' holographic form flickered as she delivered her report. "Congratulations, Captain. Phase 1 was a complete success. The Empire's arrogance has always been their weakness. Now it will be their undoing." Sarah nodded, though concern tinged her voice. "The technology worked flawlessly, Doctor, but are we sure we're ready for this? We're talking about taking on an empire that spans half the galaxy." Evelyn's expression hardened. "We have no choice. You've seen the data we've gathered over the years, the Empire's atrocities, the species they've driven to extinction. If we don't stop them now, there won't be a galaxy left worth saving." Sarah knew Evelyn was right. The decision had been made long ago, when the true nature of the Empire had been revealed. Humanity could not stand idly by while countless civilizations suffered under tyranny. "What's our next move?" Sarah asked, pushing aside her doubts. Evelyn's hologram expanded to show a star chart. "While the Empire is in disarray, we need to make contact with the resistance movements we've been nurturing in secret. It's time to ignite the spark of rebellion across the galaxy." As Evelyn laid out the plan, Sarah felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation. They were about to change the course of galactic history. The weight of that responsibility was enormous, but so was the potential reward. Of the galactic reactions, deep in Imperial space, an emergency meeting of the High Council was underway. High-ranking members of the Empire's ruling elite debated how to respond to the unprecedented threat. Grand Vizier Kathx, a towering insectoid, slammed his fist on the table. "We must crush these humans immediately. Gather every ship, every soldier. We will wipe them from existence." Others counseled caution, wary of the technological prowess the humans had displayed, but all were united in their fear and rage. The Empire's superiority had been challenged, and that could not stand. As the debate raged, none of them noticed the subtle flicker in the room's holographic displays. The human eye had already infiltrated even this most secure location, silently gathering crucial intelligence for the coming conflict. Humanity had thrown down the gauntlet, and the Empire had no choice but to respond. But in their arrogance and fear, they had overlooked a crucial fact. This was no longer just a battle between humans and the Empire. Across the galaxy, on worlds long oppressed by imperial rule, beings of all species watched and waited. The news of the Empire's defeat spread like wildfire, carefully stoked by human operatives who had spent years building networks of trust and cooperation. Hope, once extinguished by imperial tyranny, began to flicker in the hearts of many. The final confrontation. The time had come for the final confrontation. The human fleet, now bolstered by allied forces from across the galaxy, prepared to face the Empire's might. The stars shone brightly as the coalition forces assembled, ready for the ultimate showdown. On the flagship of the human fleet, Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her face set with determination. "We've come a long way, but this is where it all counts. Today, we fight not just for survival, but for the freedom of every oppressed being in the galaxy." Her crew cheered, their spirits high. The battle that lay ahead would determine the fate of countless worlds. As the Imperial forces emerged from hyperspace, the human and allied fleets engaged in a breathtaking battle. Ships clashed, energy beams cut through space, and the void was filled with the roar of combat. The Empire fought fiercely, but the unity and determination of the Galactic Coalition proved unstoppable. In the midst of the chaos, Admiral Zixa faced her final moments. Her flagship, once a symbol of Imperial power, was now a crumbling wreck. Defeated and broken, she could only watch as the tide of history turned against her. As the last Imperial ships surrendered or fled, a new dawn broke over the galaxy. The humans and their allies had succeeded in their mission, and the Empire's reign of terror was at an end. Captain Sarah Chen looked out at the stars, knowing that the battle was won, but the work of rebuilding and forging a new era of peace was just beginning. Humanity had proven itself not only capable of standing toe-to-toe with the might of the Galactic Empire, but also of leading the galaxy towards a brighter future. And as the stars twinkled with new possibilities, the galaxy took its first steps into a new era of hope and unity, forever changed by the courage and determination of humanity.